Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? What is going on? Sorry, I am late. I am late. I am late. I am late. But we're here. Welcome to the ONFORM podcast, weekly podcast for all subscribers to the Unconformed channel. My name is Roman. Very excited to be here today to talk more football. Talk more football. Talk more of this beautiful team that we all absolutely love. I'm gonna try to get some of my real time stuff up and running. I think I'm live. I am live. Perfect. And very excited for all of you to kind of be joining me here. And I appreciate everybody for tapping in and really just watching this whole thing kind of just grow and just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I appreciate all of you for always supporting me over these last couple weeks, and we're gonna keep the ball rolling. We're gonna keep this thing going. So you can probably see I'm like still getting everything together, but all that. But anyway, this week we are going to be talking about who's on form and who's out of form. I know we've had a break. I know that we are, kind of in like a little bit of a spell right now where there's no football, but football is coming, which is the great thing. But I want to talk about some of the things that I've kind of been noticing in terms of what teams are coming out on the losing end of this break, and what teams are coming out on the winning side of this break. Hey, Liberty, greetings from Bulgaria. I believe we have a genuine chance for the title, unlike Arsenal, who don't have the minerals. And Arne, we trust. Hell yeah. And I'm gonna talk about Arsenal a little bit today. I'm gonna talk about their chances in this whole title race thing. Because I think they have gone down. I think Arsenal's chances of making it in this title race, of making a fight out of this thing for Manchester City, has gone all the way down, especially after this break. I think this break has bodied the Arsenal team, and I guess we'll go straight into who's out of form. And I think it's Arsenal. I think it's Arsenal this week, and I know we didn't have any games or anything like that, but I think this international break, it usually messes us up, right? The international break usually messes us up. It usually puts us in a tough spot. It actually put Arsenal in a tough spot this time. And I believe like maybe four or three or four of their big name players are out. They're out injured. And it looks like Odegaard is probably going to be out long term. It looks like Calafiori may be out long term. It looks like I think Urine Timber got hurt, if I'm not mistaken. And then there was one more. I think there was four of their players that got injured. And all I can really say is like, welcome to our world. Welcome to being a Liverpool fan for like the past 5 seasons. Like every international break, somebody would come back injured, and we'd be down to like the bare bones of our squad. And I think that takes a huge hit on Arsenal's title chances. I think that potentially takes Arsenal out of the title race. I know they always talk about Odegaard being a huge, or Saliba being a huge factor or a huge key in their team. I think Odegaard is probably their most important player that they have, and he just went down. I don't know if you guys saw the videos or if you watched that match live. The leg looks, I mean, his ankle looks bad. His ankle looks bad, guys. I don't know if there's like any extra reports that came out. You guys let me know if there was, but his ankle twisted in a way that it should not twist. And you could probably be looking at like a severe ankle sprain or maybe even some ligament damage, which could keep him out of the Arsenal squad for a while. And as you guys already know, ligament damage is nothing that you can like shy away at. Like ligament damage is crazy. It's one of those things that like it's an injury. Like once you damage ligaments, they keep coming back. It keeps being a problem. And then to make things to make me believe most, Michael Edwards and the fact that Arne Slot rotation of the squad, which would be so beneficial for the long run. Exactly. And I know uh, a lot of people have talked about our squad being kind of thin, but I'm seeing the way that Arne Slot is managing our team right now, managing their minutes, taking off star players um, in crucial moments at the 65th minute, 70th minute, instead of letting them play the full 90. Yes, they don't love that, but I think it's keeping them fit. And then now we have Chiesa in the mix. I think that, what's up, Dan? Hey, good to see you, Dan. Hope you're doing well, man. If you guys don't know who Dan Wood is, he's another Liverpool content creator. He's awesome. He does a lot of really good shorts and has some really good ideas and thoughts behind this Liverpool team. So if you don't follow him, make sure you guys follow Dan. Dan is on the up and up, especially on TikTok. Follow Dan on TikTok for sure. But I'm looking at this Arne Slot team and how well he is taking care of the team, even though it's thin for some people's likings, right? And now that Chiesa's in the mix, I think now he'll start taking care of Mo Salah, even the same way that he was taking care of Trent, right? And I think we'll start seeing Salah come off in the 70th minute. I think we'll start seeing Salah come off in the 65th and the 75th minute to preserve their longevity, because we have a long season ahead. It could be the longest season that we've ever had, right? This could potentially be the longest season that Liverpool has ever had, that Arsenal has ever had, that Manchester City has ever had, with the way that the Champions League is now laid out, right? This could be the longest season that any team has ever experienced. So managing minutes and managing time, and this is like it's almost like an American thing. I think in American sports, we do this a lot. We manage minutes of star players, or we reduce minutes of star players, or we put them on like a minutes cap or something like that. And it's not just young players. I know we do it a lot with young players in Europe in terms of football, but in terms of like American football, the NBA, and things like that, they will limit minutes for LeBron. They'll limit minutes for a player like Kawhi Leonard, right? When they know that, like, oh, we want to save him for the important parts of the season. And I think it's so smart that FSG, well, not FSG, Michael Edwards, because they really don't make any decisions when it comes to like the day to day and the management of the players and things like that. Michael Edwards, Slot, and the whole team behind the player staff are doing that with Liverpool. I think it's so clever. And I don't care what player gets upset, what player gets mad. I think that extends our depth, and it makes it almost not a requirement to have a massive squad. When you just rotate your squad appropriately, you give everybody a good amount of minutes. I mean, Connor Bradley's playing a lot, actually, even though he's the second choice right back, right? And I think we'll see them rotate in Carabao Cups and early FA Cup ties and stuff like that. Where Arsenal, it's going to be tough. These are star players. These are players that are like almost like irreplaceable. And this is what I love about this Liverpool side. We've done a really good job of replacing, or not replacing, but buying backups where the quality doesn't drop off very much, right? The quality doesn't drop off very much from a Mo Salah to a Chiesa, from a Diogo Jota to a Darwin Nunez, or vice versa, or a Luis Diaz to a Cody Gakpo, or vice versa. The quality doesn't drop off there when you rotate the squad versus, let's say, an Arsenal squad who are trying to rotate Odegaard, right? Also, for the first time in 10 years or so, we have basically two starting 11s. It's true. That's very true. We were right to be disappointed at FSG, which I agree. But at the same time, the club is in a great spot. And I think that's it. And I've said this over and over. I think that's a testament to Jurgen Klopp and what he has done to prepare us for his leaving. Spending all that money on the midfield that we got, that's absolutely outstanding now, right? Spending making sure that we're spending in the right. I mean, bringing in Cody Gakpo in January, that was so random, right? But now it's looking like a masterstroke, because now we have a whole front line we can swap out, boom, and the quality doesn't drop off there. Same thing with the midfield. We have Dominic Szoboszlai, who's our starting 10, and we have Harvey Elliott, who's definitely one for the future, who's definitely somebody that is just and he could be better than Szoboszlai if he develops the right way. And then we have McAllister, and then we have suitable backups there, right? With Jones, who on his day can be as good as McAllister. I know a lot of people say a lot of stuff about Jones, but there was a stretching period of time, I believe it was last season, where he was one of our best midfielders on the pitch at times. And if he can hit at least half of that level, I think we'll be okay if something happens to McAllister. And same thing in the DM position, right? Ryan is a player that we didn't think was going to hit these levels that he was gonna hit, and I'll talk about that in a second because the growth and development of Ryan Gravenberch has just been out of control. I don't know what's happening with this kid. I mean, I thought it was the Arne Slot system, but then he goes and performs on the international stage and absolutely bosses that midfield, right? And just has a wonder game. And we're looking at like, dude, is this kid the next Rodri or something? Like, what's going on? It's a good time to be a Liverpool fan. That's for sure. And I think our surprise of the season may actually be Tyler Morton. Tyler Morton. I can't wait for Tyler Morton to show what he can actually do. I think he fits that number 6 hybrid 8 kind of thing role that Arne Slot has Ryan doing very, very well. And I think that's why Tyler stuck around versus other players didn't stick around. Players that we may have actually rated higher than Ryan and even Tyler Morton, like Stefan Bajcetic, or even for some people, Bobby Clark. But I think Tyler, he fits this system very, very well. And I think he'll be a big surprise of the season. So I love what I'm seeing. I'm worried about Arsenal. Not really worried about them, but I feel like they're gonna have like a big drop off this season, especially with the injuries that have come in. And I want to talk about where I see everybody at on the table today. I'm going to do my early season predictions. The way too early season predictions today. And I'm seeing some stuff coming in the chat. Also the first time, yep. Isn't Slot well known in Feyenoord for player health and availability? Yes, he is, Dan. He for a long time at Feyenoord, actually, for his entire time at Feyenoord, he had the healthiest team in the league. His players rarely got injured. And that was one thing that I picked up on when they appointed him, because I know that was one thing that kind of plagued Klopp's time as manager, was the injury side of things. So I loved the fact that he was bringing over his staff and that he was going to make some changes, and it looks like that he has, right? And I just appreciate the fact that he really hammers in the need to stay healthy, not just when they're in Liverpool, but also when they're on international break. I don't know if you've guys seen that little from on YouTube or TikTok or Twitter or whatever, but there's like a little snippet of Arne Slot talking to the Feyenoord players. I believe they just beat Ajax, if I'm not mistaken. And he was really excited about the result, but they were going into an international break, if I'm not mistaken. And he was more hammering in on what's going to happen after the international break than he was on the win. And it was like a historic win. It was like the first time like Feyenoord had won there in a long time or something like that. And he was like, this is a great win, but what I need you guys to do is stay healthy after these next 2 weeks. Focus on your health. Take care of yourself. We're in the process of doing something special, but I need you all fit. I need you all back here fit. And I know sometimes for players, they don't really have a whole ton of control over whether they're fit or not, but I feel like to a degree they do, right? I feel like to a degree they do. And when you bring that up in a player's mind to where they're going out there and they're taking care of themselves on the international break and they're not doing stupid stuff and they're not sliding into reckless tackles into in training and things like that, I think they come back better. And I think that's what's happened here. I think this is probably like one of the only international breaks where we've come back and there's been no injuries. Am I wrong here? Like, I feel like this was like one of the only international breaks that we've literally gone out and no one came back injured. I was worried a little bit about McAllister, but he's fine. And I'm just like, this is what I love to hear. We come back this weekend and we get back to work, right? So great run out for all the players. He just assisted against Germany too. Thank you, Nick. Gravenberch is just he's on fire right now. And he's probably going to be a surprise of the season for a lot of us. And he so far is for me. And I hope his form continues and just keeps roaring on, man. So Liberty, also Arne Slot style of play from what we saw is far less demanding on the players and overall slower and more about tactics and patterns of play and less about individual quality, which is very true. There was a comment that popped up in one of the videos recently about how Arne he tries to flood hot zones versus rely on individual brilliance of players and things like that, right? Which I thought was a really clever breakdown of his tactics, of where he overloads the midfield and he actually doesn't really play with a traditional number 6, which we can obviously see. It's more he doesn't play with 6s or 8s, is what this person said, and I was like, that's very interesting when you think about it, because when you think about it, it's almost like Gravenberch and Maka, they're sharing the duty of the number 6 role, and they also share the duty of being an 8. So it's like they're both playing both of those roles depending on the situation, and they always try to come in and aid Szoboszlai in getting forward. One of them will, right? One of them will aid Szoboszlai in getting forward and pair up with Jota and pair up with Mo, and then Trent slides in and almost becomes the companion for the player that's left behind, right? So we're overloading the midfield with players and creating and drawing the opposition into the middle of the pitch and creating 1v1s on the wings. And it's been working beautifully because we know that Luis Diaz is one of the best 1v1 players on the planet right now, if not the best one. And we know that Mo Salah on his day can beat anybody off of the dribble. So, and that's why we're seeing a lot of creativity come from Mo, and we're seeing a lot of goals come from Lucho, because we're able to do that, and it's working really well. Szoboszlai's thriving in that role. So, Dan says, seeing patterns of play this fast with Slot is amazing. Shows a good manager. He is. And a very smart manager, too. Very smart manager. In the way he set up. It's a mix of, it's like if Pep and Jurgen had a baby. If Pep and Jurgen had a baby, I think it would be Arne Slot. It's the mind of Pep, but it's the tenacity and the doggedness to get the ball back that Klopp had. I love it. I think we hit the freaking jackpot with this guy, bro. I think we hit the jackpot with Arne Slot, bro. I'm not even gonna lie, man. We hit the jackpot with Arne Slot. I thought the crazy thing is, I don't even know if Edwards even knew that this was going to be a thing. I don't know if Edwards even knew he was going to be this good or understood what the appointment was really going to be. Because from what I understand, this was third choice, right? Now looking back on it, maybe he should have been first choice. Maybe this should have been the first guy that we should have been talking to. Unbelievable stuff. I like it. So Arsenal for me only have one out of form this week. No football this week, but because of the international break, I'm going to say it's Arsenal. I think they lost this out of this international break. And I say the big winners was Liverpool. All of their players have been performing absolutely amazing. And on top of that, no injuries. What can you ask for more? And then we're going into a run of games, which I believe are 100% winnable. All of them are winnable. I think we can go perfect in this run of games. So that's my picks for this week for on form and out of form. We're gonna go into my early predictions for the table. Who's winning it all? Who's getting relegated? You guys let me know what you guys think. I don't know. So I'm gonna throw this on the screen here. I didn't know what to expect from Slot, and I'm pleasantly surprised. Says Mr. Stand Up Guy. Shout out to you, Mr. Stand Up Guy. You comment on a lot of stuff, and you have some really great insights. I appreciate you, man. If Jurgen brought back rock and roll football, then Slot has been performing smooth jazz. Yes, baby. A derivative of the rock and roll, right? But just a little bit easier on the ear. You know what I mean? It can get a little crazy if you needed to, but it's easier on the ear. I love that. I absolutely love that, bro. So, perfect. Um, I'm going to I'm going to go ahead and pop this on the screen. You guys aren't going to be able to see my face. Can you guys all see that? I hope so. Everton are getting relegated. Unfortunate for me. Are you an Everton fan? It's a great. I hope. I hope they do stay up for the sake of the rivalry. For the sake of the rivalry, I hope they stay up. Seriously. I know I banter a little bit with Everton fans and stuff like that, but I mean, before they capitulated last week, they actually were playing really good football, and it's unfortunate to see. I think bad management. I think they just need a young manager that's going to play expansive football. Honestly, for me, it's the Ipswich game. That second half adjustment was outstanding. Yep, that Ipswich game set the standard. Honestly, and a lot of the other things that have kind of led up to that part. So let's go. We are going to start at the top, or should we start at the bottom? Who's getting relegated? Let's start at the bottom. Just for the derby, they should stay up. Exactly. I agree. Let's start at the bottom. Who's going to get relegated? I think we're finally going to see Crystal Palace bite it. I'm sorry, guys. I think we're going to see Crystal Palace bite the dust. I think they got to a point where they've ran their luck a little bit too much, dude. And I think now that a lot of their talent is going to be kind of yanked away from them, I can see Adam Wharton getting moved on. I can see Eberechi Eze making a move to a bigger club. I'm surprised he didn't this offseason like Olise. I can see Decore moving to like a mid-level club like a West Ham or like an Aston Villa or something like that. I think they'll go down. Unfortunately for me, I like Crystal Palace. Next one I think is going to end up going down. I'm gonna be honest here. Southampton. Southampton, they play football that I actually enjoy and I like a whole ton. The issue with Southampton is that it's not converting to the Premier League for some reason. And I don't know if they have the mental fortitude to withstand a relegation fight. It's not looking like it, right? And then my last pick, I think they've also run their luck out, is Wolves. I think Wolves is going. You guys tell me if you guys disagree. Of course, I'm always welcome to disagreements and things like that. But you guys tell me if you guys disagree. I think Wolves has ran their luck a little bit too far. They can't keep being a hub for Portuguese talent over and over, and then just selling them, and then you bringing in more Portuguese talent and selling them. I think they'll probably be one of the three clubs that go down. I still think Palace have just enough to stay for a few more years. I have a strong feeling they don't. I don't know what it is. Something about this season that I just don't think. I don't think they're gonna make it. And Wolves, they are on thin ice, man. It's true. I think these are the three that'll go down. And It'll be tough because I like seeing Crystal Palace in the Premier League. I like Wolves seeing Wolves in the Premier League, and I love Southampton's play. I really do. But I think these other teams that are left on the board, you really can't say that, okay, we're taking them. We're going these teams aren't going to go down. Are going to go down, my bad. I don't think you can really say that about some of these teams. Oh, I just hope it's not the three that came up that go back down. It's always disappointing when that happens. I think Ipswich makes it out. I think Ipswich makes it out. I think they do. I think they make it out just scraping by. Palace are a yo-yo club. They would come straight back up again. They are. I think they're too good for the championship, but I think they're not good enough for the Premier League, in my personal opinion. But I think Ipswich makes it out by like the skin of their teeth. I also think Leicester makes it. Just because they have that Premier League experience, they should have probably never went down in the first place. They're one of those clubs that's just like, why are they even playing in the championship, right? But I think they're one of those clubs that will make it out. I think they'll do okay this season. Forest is another one of those clubs that I think, okay, they're gonna scrape by, but they're gonna make it. I think when a team has enough history behind them, I think that plays into their favor when they have just enough history behind them to where they're like, okay, they're not going to go down. But I think Forest, Leicester, and Ipswich, I think they round out that lower mid-table kind of pack, and I think they'll scrape by. Let's also throw Everton in there. I don't think Everton will get relegated. For the sake of the derby, I don't think Everton will get relegated. We still need somebody to beat up 2 times a year, okay? We still need 2 people. We need a club that we can just banter with. We can beat them up 2 times a year, and we can have fun. And Ipswich is playing decent football. They're hard to break down. Yep, but gas out later in games. I think they'll fix that. I think the fitness will get better. I think this international break will work for them, and I think they'll do a good job to grind out results. I can see them staving off the drop just enough. Same thing with Everton. I know they haven't won a game yet, but from what I seen in that last match, they well deserved to win that game by 3, 4, 5-0 even, but somehow just capitulated in that last 10 minutes. I think Sam Dyche's time is coming to an end pretty quick, or Dyche, or I think his name's Sam Dyche, right? It's coming to an end pretty quickly, and I think they'll bring in a younger manager. I think they'll bring in another manager. So let's see what ends up happening with that. But higher mid-table, I'm gonna go Fulham. I think Fulham is just good enough to kind of hang out in the mid-table, do their thing. I'm gonna go Brentford. Brentford is a solid side too. I'm gonna go Bournemouth. These are like the staple mid-table teams, right? That's just like they're too good to be like in relegation battles, but they're not good enough to like compete at the top. In my opinion. You guys let me know if I'm wrong here. I also think West Ham will probably hang around in that spot. These spots right here. I think West Ham is a very good team. I think they are a team with the players that they have. They deserve European football. But I think they just have the wrong manager. They're another team that's like right team, wrong manager. And Stand Up says, what if City are relegated because of their current issue? A big if, but what ramifications will happen, like what happened to Juventus? I'll be honest. If it's anything like what happened to Everton or anything like what happened to Juve, I think it'll be more harsh. They broke more rules than both of those teams combined. I don't know. I mean, obviously this is something that's like completely unprecedented. It's never happened before in Premier League history, right? Where let me drop the window real quick. It's never happened in Premier League history to where something this crucial has kind of popped up. I mean, if they're fair, City get relegated. If they're really, really fair with it, City get relegated. It's just that simple. they're docked all of their points and they get relegated down to League 4. If they're being really, really fair. I mean, I believe it's 115 charges, or there was more that was found, maybe even from what I've been hearing that it's even more than 115. But if we're doing 115 charges, and I think if anybody knows how many breaches did Everton have, or how many breaches did Juve have, and then we can kind of gauge off of that. Because I'm hearing that, like, I believe it was Everton only had like one or something like that, and they were docked 8 points, right? They need to go, and I'm seeing Liberty say they need to go down to the National League. Honestly, yes. And for me personally, I don't even want those titles that they stole from us. I want those titles in Anfield Agenda. Craig over at Anfield Agenda said this before, and big shout out to Craig. He's amazing. He said, I want people to see those titles as blank. NA, not applicable with an asterisk. And then you have to go down to the details and see why the hell no champion was awarded that season. I want to see that. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I'm seeing some more stuff here. Man City fan base is growing massively. It is. In New York, I mean, they're huge in America. Um, they're all around the world. It's true. So for them to just kind of just be as they're kind of reaching their heights to be torn down, we'll send a message. I hope that the powers that be do send that message, and it sways anybody from ever doing sketchy stuff like that ever again. And that's kind of the point, right? Whether it was during Pep's era or not, those were the foundations that helped Pep do what he did, right? And it needs to be a really clear message amongst everyone in the league that if you do this, your club is doomed. If you decide to break the financial fair play rules, you try to get the upper hand and an advantage on other teams by not playing fair, your club will not exist anymore. You will have to rebuild from the ground up. That sends a clear message. And if they want to be the big club, they want to be the club that goes around and buys everybody and is super dominant. Take Real Madrid, for example. They did it legally. Go and win. Real Madrid have all this money because they win so many Champions Leagues. They have back-to-back Champions League titles. So they take the prize money and they take all of the sponsorship deals that they get from being one of the biggest clubs in the world for performing on the pitch, and they take advantage of that. There's no problem with that. I have no problem with a dominant team doing that and spending money how they want. But when you go and you break the financial fair play rules to try to get that's just not, I don't like that. So let me get back into some of these comments here. So Everton, by Everton math, it should be minus 1,150 points. I think that's National League, right? If they get relegated, the team in 18th getting relegated deserve to be pushed up and only and one survive. I love that idea. I love that idea, Nick. Because at least it saves one team that did play by the rules and maybe just didn't perform that well on the pitch. I remember the Italian league issue with corruption. It ruined Serie A. It did. And now, I mean, for some people, Serie A is unwatchable, right? Some people aren't even like really interested in it. And it used to be such a wonderful league with Kaká, with Ronaldinho, right? I believe R9 Ronaldo played there for a little bit. Andrea Pirlo, Gattuso, all these amazing players. Clarence Seedorf. I mean, Beckham even spent some time there. It used to be a wonderful league, and now I feel like for some people, they don't even watch it. It's not even like, it's like a non-factor of a league, right? And Liberty, I refuse to believe anyone that claims to be a City fan knew they existed before 2008. They were kind of known higher in Bulgaria because they had two Bulgarian players, right? But had zero fans here. It's true. No one really knew Man City before, and Robinho. I remember Robinho showing up, and then everyone was like, "Oh," because Robinho was from Madrid, and he got all of this. If anybody, dude, I remember that time so crazy, and they were bad still, which is the funny thing. Like Robinho, like didn't do anything for the team. I remember that so vividly. But I remember when he played, it was like a spectacle. They were like, Robinho's in the Premier League, because it was like one of the only times that like a Madrid player came and played in the Premier League. That was like that big like that. I know Arne Robin came to Chelsea, or was that after he was at Madrid? I'm not sure. But yeah, kind of crazy. Kind of crazy how all that stuff works. So let's get back into the table. I'm gonna go Conference League, Manchester United. Manchester United. I think if they make CR7 almost came to City a couple years back. I remember that too. I remember that too. And I think that was more of like him trying to force the hand of Man United than anything, in my personal opinion. But I'm gonna go with Manchester United. Am I missing some team? No. I'm gonna go with Manchester United here for the Conference League spot. I actually think they actually have a good team. They just have a bad manager, which is like a common theme amongst a lot of these teams, right? Um, I think United will get European football this season. I think they'll end up in Conference League. I just think the teams that are left here are just better. They're just better teams, in my opinion. So Europa League, I think Chelsea will get it back. Their team looks good. Cole Palmer is a special talent. You put Cole Palmer on the team, it's hard to bet against these guys. It looks like they're going to be a team that just are going to need to be outscored. Um, they're going to be an outscore me type of team where it's just like, you want to score 3, we'll score 5. Like how we were for a little bit. I remember that time we were just like, let's just battle it out. Let's see who can outscore who. Yeah, rumor is Ruud van Nistelrooy will be the next Man United manager. I'd love to see that. And Ruud van Nistelrooy, believe it or not, as a Liverpool fan, growing up, was one of my favorite players. I just loved he was just a monster. He just had to get a goal every game. He had to get a goal every single game. And I just love his style of play. I love the way he does things. And apparently, from what I've been hearing, the players love him too. So I'm going with Chelsea in that Europa League spot, one of those Europa League spots. I'm going with huh. I think we're missing a team, aren't we? No, we're not. I'm going with Brighton in the Europa League spot. I'm going with Brighton in the Europa League spot. Is that crazy to say? Is that crazy to say? So here, the Champions League spots. There should be 4 teams left. Why is there 6? I think we did the math wrong somewhere. Let's put Actually, you know what? Let's put Tottenham here, and let's say that Man United doesn't qualify. Let's say they finish 8th. Let's do that. Um, and then let's put Newcastle in like a Europa League, Conference League kind of spot there. I think these 3 teams are on the come up right now. In my personal opinion, I think these three teams are on the come up. You might see Aston Villa hanging out down there. You might see Villa hanging out down there. I'm doing that. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, guys. We're putting Aston Villa in a Champions League spot. I did it. Aston Villa is in a Champions League spot for me. Brighton is such a tricky team, Dan. And that's why I'm putting them in the Europa League spot. I think they'll finish 5th. I think they'll finish right outside of Champions League, and it'll be close, like to the end. I think Chelsea, Newcastle, they'll all kind of fight out for those spots. But I'm putting Aston Villa in the Champions League spot. I think they're ready. guys. I think they're ready. And if Ollie Watkins can continue to perform the way he's performed, and Nick just said Maka will not play tonight. Are we worried now or not? No, I'm not worried. From what I understand is that the injury was precautionary, and now it looks like they're just being even more cautious. I think they're just maybe Slot and his staff reached out and was like, "Hey, does he have to play tonight?" And Mac has even come out and said it's not a very serious injury. I think he should be okay, but we'll have to keep our eye on that and see what happens, of course. But I'm not worried about that, or at least I'm not worried about that over that situation. But from what I understand, the reports that have come out that he's fine. Fourth, I'm going Arsenal. Third, I'm going City number 2, and I wouldn't be a Liverpool fan channel if I didn't say Liverpool's winning it. There it is. I'm putting it out there, guys. This is it. This is my early prediction right here. Let me get it. Let me put it over here on the left-hand side. This is my early prediction. This is what we're rocking with right here. Let me move over the window. Bink. There we go. That's what I think. I think Liverpool wins it, guys. I think it's a perfect moment. It's a perfect time. It feels a lot like how it was last season, where City were there for the getting, and somebody has to get them. Yeah. Will we rest him through Nottingham? I feel like we can. I feel like there's a possibility that we do, and maybe Harvey gets a run in at the 10, and we put Sabo back in the 8. Or we even give Curtis Jones. Apparently, Curtis Jones is back 100% healthy. There is a total possibility, but from what I heard, that Arne Slot is. Yeah, I know. It's hard to make such bold statements, but I'm making the bold statement, guys. And what's really great is if I'm right, we can come back on this video and we can say, "Damn, you called it, bruh. You called it, Roman." And I'll be like, "Yeah, I knew what I was talking about." That's the cool thing about this whole thing, is that I will get to come back and look at this video and see if I was just like high, or if I was just like on to something here. But this is what I'm calling. I'm calling Man City, Liverpool win it all. Man City is there to be gotten. The lack of interest, like I said in the last video, the lack of interest from Pep is a positive for us. The fact that he's not taking it serious anymore is a positive for us. I think Aston Villa will finish 3rd, and I think Arsenal will finish 4th, only because it looks like there's going to be some long-term injuries in their team. Otherwise, maybe I would move this one around, or maybe even move Arsenal to 2nd. I think Brighton will get that Europa League spot and fight. I think they'll fight for that Champions League spot. I think Chelsea and Newcastle are good enough to hang around in those Europa League spots. And I think Tottenham, they're good, but they're young. They're a really young team who need a little bit more time. I think in a year's time, we'll be talking about Tottenham being a top 4, like a serious top 4 threat in 1 more year. Because I like Ange Postecoglou. Hopefully he keeps his job. I think he's a top manager. I think his team just needs to mature a little bit before we start talking about them being like serious. We're going to be in the Champions League year in, year out kind of team. But the right manager, right team scenario with Tottenham. Excellent appointment for them. And then the rest, right? I think the biggest one will be Manchester United finishing higher mid-table. I think they were lucky to get as high as they kind of did last season. Weren't they 8th last season anyway? I think they'll finish around the same area. These teams are good enough to just kind of hang out in mid-table. And I think these guys will stave off the drop, and I think these 3 will end up being dropped. So, Liberty, I hope Chelsea starts versus or Chiesa starts versus Nottingham Forest. Never saw a new player being so happy to join our team. I know. And I think it plays in a little bit to the fact that his previous club absolutely wanted him out. And he just is happy to have a home where people appreciate him, where fans appreciate him, and where he's loved, and where he'll be adorned and adored when he performs. And I think we are in for a massive, massive treat with Chiesa. He is a baller. If he plays anything like how he played last season in this Arne Slot system, I know I said he wasn't supposed to be a Salah replacement. He wasn't supposed to be a Salah successor. But now that I'm doing a little bit more research into him and how he plays and how aggressive he is and his take-ons and things like that. I mean, his take-ons are higher actually than Luis Diaz, guys, who I consider the best dribbler in the world right now, right? He's the best 1v1 attacker in the world right now, for me personally. Luis Diaz is. Chiesa's numbers are higher than him in terms of take-ons and dribble successions. And this was done in a Juventus team that played negative football and was heavily defensive last season. We can get very, very excited for this player. And I really hope that we do see Chiesa perform this weekend. I am so freaking hyped for this player. The fact that we can go from Salah to Chiesa, and when Salah's already ran the defense ragged, they're on tired legs, and you bring in Chiesa and Darwin Núñez in the 65th, 70th minute, they see those two warming up, putting shin pads on, checking cleats, checking in to the substation. Oh my word. Two players that create the most opportunities per 90 out of our entire squad. Chiesa already is at the top of that queue, by the way. So if you don't check out his stats, bro, it's actually kind of crazy. Chiesa creates more opportunities than Darwin Núñez does. And he's Captain Chaos. You thought Darwin is Captain Chaos? Nah, Chiesa is about to be Captain Chaos. It's going to be very, very, very fun. So I hope that we don't have the Italian curse. Don't bring that up. Don't bring that up. Don't bring the Italian curse up at all. I think he beats it. He's happy to be here. And let's hope he stays healthy for real. So I appreciate you all. We're gonna wrap up stream here. Thanks for joining the club. You guys are all subscribers. I blocked this off to subscribers only. So I appreciate you guys for jumping in here. If you guys want, you guys can support the channel and become a member of the channel. The first tier is welcome to the club. The second tier is boot room. Once this thing starts popping off crazy, we'll have you guys as moderators and things like that. And then you guys will be first in line for when we start doing live calls and the whole co-hosting thing that I mentioned before on the last stream. So I appreciate all of you guys. You guys have an awesome night. We will see you this weekend. Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. My prediction is we going Liverpool 3-0, baby, with Chiesa getting his first goal. Ryan Gravenberch is about to dominate it. So you guys have a great weekend or a great week, and we'll see you on the weekend. Peace.